Today I'll show you how I use my factory insert plate to make this zero clearance insert plate for my table saw, so I can make thin ribs without them falling into the saw and get cleaner cuts with less chip out all around. Let's see how we got it done. We're starting with a piece of 1/2 inch MDF, which is the same thickness as our factory insert plate. So I don't really want to push the whole thing through the table saw, nor am I concerned about a little bit of waste, so I'm just going to cut it down to a more manageable size with the circular saw first. Now we'll roll in our table saw. If you want to see how I made this mobile stand, there'll be a link in the description below. Now I'm going to rip down my MDF to be the correct width, or the same width as the existing throat plate. So to do that, I'm going to use the existing to set my fence. Because this throat plate is just a tiny bit loose, I'm going to knock it over maybe a 1/64 of an inch, and we'll go with that. All right, let's test this one. Oh yeah, that one's nice and snug, so maybe we'll sand it down a little bit at the end, but that should work. So my plan is to use a router with a flush trim bit to get my MDF to be the same size as this throat plate. So the ball bearing at the bottom will ride along the existing throat plate as a template and trim up my MDF. Now I'm not going to do it on the sides because I already cut that to the width I want, but I am going to do it around the curved part. So first I'm just going to mark this to get the general shape and cut it out with a jigsaw very close, and then I'll go back and trim it up with the flush trim bit. So I'll come through with the jigsaw and just stay outside of the line pretty clearly. So we want our new zero clearance insert to fit the saw a little bit tighter than our factory insert. However, we're using the factory insert as the template for our flush trim bit. So all I'm going to do is wrap a few layers of masking tape around the outside of the factory plate to beef it up a little bit. Then our new one will be just a little bit wider. So I wanted to clamp our old throat plate to our new zero clearance insert separately from attaching it to the table, because then if I have to adjust it while I'm routing or something, I can leave these clamps in place and our template won't move. So we're going to adjust our depth so that the bearing runs along the top or middle of our existing throat plate, just so that we don't interfere with this lip when we get on this side. The flush trim bit on our router gave us a really nice clean cut, so let's throw it in and see if it fits. First try. I'm just kidding, there was a little bit of sandpaper involved, but in all honesty, it was pretty close. However, it does turn out that this cutout in the factory plate is actually for something. Our new plate will not seat all the way down because it is hitting this piece of metal here. So we are going to have to try to find a way to transfer something similar over to our zero clearance plate. So I decided I'm just going to route out something similar here. It looks like this is a little bit bigger than it needs to be to get around this, so I'll err on the side of making it smaller and shallower and give it a test and route a little bit more out if we need to. So we have it fitting around this piece. Let's see if we can get it in there. Our only problem is, you'll see when you drop it in, this side needs a little bit of persuasion to go down. There's this kind of canvas here that I guess is just sealing up the bay for dust protection, but it's kind of hitting the bottom here. So we're just going to take a shallow pass out of the edge here and give that some room. We have our channel routed out along this edge, so the insert drops right in now, and we will cut our channel for the blade. We'll get our brand new Diablo blade in here. Link to that and a few other things you'll see in this video in the description. Before we get to the fun part of raising our blade through our new insert, let me tell you why I'm making this. My next video will be a charcuterie board with a few thin strips of woven wood. So I need the zero clearance plate to cut those thin strips, otherwise they would fall right through the factory insert opening. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that video. Okay guys, so even with the blade lowered all the way down, my plate cannot sit flat in there yet. The blade doesn't lower far enough, it's hitting the blade as it is. I'm just going to throw on the 7 1/4 inch circular saw blade so that I have a little bit more room, raise that one up. Hope that gives me the clearance I need to put this flat where it belongs before I raise our 10-inch blade up. Okay, we'll lower that one down. See how this goes. So with a little bit of room started, we can go ahead and swap back to our 10-inch blade and see if we have enough room here to finish this off. I can't flip my new insert over on the table saw to cut for the riving knife because of that metal piece I had to route around. So I just traced the outline of the existing throat plate and I'll use a circular saw to cut for the riving knife. Our riving knife is installed, so let's drop it in and see if we can raise it up with the riving knife. Looks like we're in business. Next thing we'll do is drill a finger hole to be able to pull it out. We will mark and drill for our 4 leveling screws, and that'll do it. We're going to drill for our finger hole, so this doesn't need to be exact by any means, but we'll just kind of line this up. And we'll mark at least a half circle on where the existing one is so we can kind of get it close. I'm going to drill into another piece of plywood so we get a clean exit hole on the top side of the plate, but just using a 3/4 inch Forstner bit, and that'll do it for our hole. To drill for our leveling screws, again, we're going to use our factory insert as the template. It looks symmetrical, so hopefully we can just flip it over and it'll match. We'll kind of double check after we mark it, but just line it up. You could use an awl, but I have an Allen key. Just going to kind of press down in each hole to mark it. And then again, we'll drill first with a Forstner bit. So the head of our leveling screws are countersunk, and then we'll go the rest of the way through with a regular drill bit. Now we'll just take our screws and thread them in, and we should be all done. And the only thing left to do is take it for a test run. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.